Hi guys! So I'm going to show you how to do a continuous tone value scale with my pencil. Now some of you have been using mechanical pencils, but you're going to want to ditch those for this. Once we start doing value, you definitely want to be using the regular school pencils that I have for you, okay? So here I have my little page in my sketchbook, continuous tone, and my little rectangle drawn out. It's about 5 inches by ½ an inch tall. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mark, just kind of eyeballing where the middle is, and then I'm going to write dark and light on either side, so I can kind of keep in mind what I'm doing here. Okay, so using the side of my pencil and kind of rotating it a bit as I go along so it doesn't get worn out on one side, I'm going to start applying pressure just like that. Now I'm putting a little bit in the dark. I know I'm going to go much darker there, but what I kind of want to do is get a feel for the way the graphite gets laid down and how much pressure I need to apply. Now I'm going to go ahead and in the middle spot, I'm going to put down what I think is a good medium tone. So where am I pushing down? Right in between pushing down the hardest that I can and barely touching it, okay? Because this whole thing is just done by varying the pressure that you're using on your pencil, right? So, filling this in, it's gonna go from darkest to lightest. So if we have to go get this much darker and we have to get all the way to there, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put down a layer of graphite that matches this, okay? Just to give it a base coat almost. Okay. So all of that, using the side of my pencil, I'm going to turn it again. All of that pretty much looks like the medium tone, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back into the darkest and pushing down as hard as I can with the pencil without snapping it. I'm going to put in the darkest value. Now I'm only going to do that for about ½ an inch, okay? Because then I want to go on to the next darkest value and the next darkest and the next darkest, all the way until that middle tone, okay? And I don't want it to look like steps though. I don't want to see an obvious difference between the darkest and the next darkest. I want it to sort of fade into each next one. That's why we have continuous tone. That's why it's called that. So darkest, as dark as I can go. And then moving over to the next step, I'm just applying a little bit less pressure over here than I did at the darkest. Okay, now you can still see a little bit of a step, so what I'm going to do is I'm just kind of going to blend in little circular motions where they meet so that it's a little bit smoother, okay? Now on to the next step. Even less pressure. Right there. Now we can definitely see a step and a difference in value here, right? So going back into the one next to it, I'm just going to work that graphite back and forth with little circular motions so that it blends into the next step, okay? And then you can use your finger to smooth that out. Okay. Moving on, the next step I'm going to do has even less pressure. So I am working in steps, but I'm going to try to erase those steps. Don't want it to be obvious. Okay, and then the next one over, even less, and then even less, and then we're at the middle tone. Okay, so gonna go back and kind of fix. You can always go darker. So if you feel like you didn't get it far enough to get to that medium point, then go back and darken up and maybe work it again where you just sort of ease off a little bit slower. So I'm kind of using sort of a scribbly technique and I'm filling it in lighter and lighter as I go over. Okay, and then I'm going to just give it a quick smoothing out like that. Okay, now I have the rest of it to do, so I'm going to go from medium value to almost no value by just continuing on the same thing. So here's my medium pressure, so moving on, we'll have a little bit less than that, and then a little bit less, and maybe a little bit more over here. Less and less, and barely until it's white. Okay, now this I'll definitely just smooth over with my finger because you don't want to keep working it in, or it'll get too heavy. So see how delicate that is? Just right, continuous tone. Okay, so go ahead and try that.